Hello, and welcome back, everyone, to another episode of The Israelites Are Bipolar. These are all the precursors to all the mental illnesses we have now. Right? I think. I don't know. I mean, look, I wouldn't want to go into battle either, you know? Um, but it seems to be a lot of that. So, what is it? The last thing that happened in 11? Israel was like, they went up to Saul, right? Because Saul basically won them the battle, more or less, or motivated the people, right? And they were able to beat the Amorites, Jabesh Gilead, yeah. Um, and then we're in Gilgal. But they came over to Saul and they were like, "Who put you in charge? We're gonna put him to death." That's wild. So Samuel, the person who put him in charge, is gonna speak. Now Samuel said to all Israel, "Indeed, I have heeded your voice in all that you said to me, and have made a king over you, because you asked, though. And now here is the king, walking before you, and I am old and gray-headed, and look, my sons are with you. I have walked before you with my childhood to this day. Here I am. Witness me before the Lord and before his anointed, whose oxen..." Sorry, I'm supposed to be up right now. I am. Good thing I'm up. His anointed, whose oxen I have taken, or whose donkey I have taken, or whom I have cheated. Whom have I oppressed, or from whose hand have I received any bribe of which to blind my eyes? I will restore it to you. And they said, "You have not cheated us or oppressed us, or have taken anything from any man's hand." Then he said to them, I'll read it, but right, he was like, What did I do? I ain't done nothing. And then he said to them, "The Lord is witness against you, and his anointed is witnesses to this day, that you have not found anything in my hand." And they answered, "He is witness." Then Samuel said to the people, "It is the Lord who raises up Moses and Aaron, and who brought your fathers up from the land of Egypt. Now therefore stand still, that I may reason with you before the Lord concerning all your religious acts on the Lord, which he did to you and your fathers." That means that the rage that they brought against Saul after defeating the people, right, and coming back to him, was from the Israelites, the original ones who were actually mad at Moses. Okay, that's a lot of. And I was talking to, like, you make them 40 years in the desert, and you see how that's how they talk to God, and that's how they act towards God. What do you think they're going to be doing to other people, you know? So, 40 years of trauma in the desert. When Jacob had gone into Egypt, and your fathers cried out to the Lord, then the Lord sent Moses and Aaron, who brought your fathers out of Egypt, and made them dwell in this place. And when they forgot their Lord their God, he sold them into the land of Sisera, commander of the army of Hazor, into the hand of the Philistines, and into the hand of the king of the Moab. And they fought against them. Then they cried out to the Lord and said, "We have sinned, because we have forsaken the Lord and served the Baals and Asheroths," their idols. What is it? Canaanite goddess. "But now deliver us from the hand of our enemies, and we will serve you." That sounds a lot like people giving you fake promises. But we love it, right? Be nicer, right? And the Lord sent Jerubbaal, whatever, Badon, Jephthah, Jeph, Jeff, Jephthah, and Samuel, and delivered you out of the hand of your enemies on every side, and you dwelt in safety. Right, safety. Somehow, everywhere you turned, there was somebody, right, who was ready to just kill you. Who kept you safe? I did. Not me, but God. You know? That's what he said. He said, what are you guys talking about? You guys are ridiculous. And when you saw that Nahash, king of the Ammonites, came against you, you said to me, no. Don't say no to God. Say maybe. I'm going to have to work on that. But not no. But a king shall reign over us, when the Lord your God was your king. Now therefore he is the king whom you have chosen, and whom you have desired. And take note, the Lord has set a king over you. Right? You asked for this. If you fear the Lord, serve him and obey his voice, and do not rebel against the commandment of the Lord, then both you and the king who reigns over you will continue following the Lord your God. Obey your king. However, if you do not obey the voice of the Lord, but rebel against the commandment of the Lord, then the hand of the Lord will be against you, as it was against your fathers. Kept you out of the land for 40 years, because you couldn't keep your mouth shut. You know? Ain't that something? Now therefore stand and see this great thing which the Lord will do before your eyes. Is today not the wheat harvest? Is it not the wheat harvest today? It's almost close, ironically. Probably, right? It's the start of October, so... You know, that's kind of what Oktoberfest was, right? Was them getting drunk after the harvest, you know? They said, oh, we have plenty. As in Danish country. And Danes. I will call to the Lord, and he will send thunder and rain, that you may perceive and see that your wickedness is great, which you have done in the sight of the Lord, in asking a king for yourselves. So Samuel called to the Lord, and the Lord sent thunder and rain that day, and the people greatly feared the Lord and Samuel. He said, what's up, bro? Bringing that thunder. Just, right. A show of power, but, you know. And all the people said to Samuel, that's not what we asked for. Pray for the servants to the Lord your God, us, right? That we may not die. For we have added to all your sins the evil of asking a king for ourselves. They said, oh! Samuel, you're right. Oh no. They said, oh shoot, we did it. We did it to ourselves. We're going to have a moment of silence. This is going to be the first moment of silence for ourselves. We really fucked up. Then Samuel said to the people, do not fear. You have done all this wickedness, yet do not turn aside from following the Lord, but serve the Lord with all your heart. Right. When you do something bad, sorry, but you gotta double down. You know, you're on this path. And that's... This is going to be an introspective view, but to be like so capable of walking away from one another, right? In life, in partnerships, jobs, right? It's like not going through tough times with each other, you know? But it seems easier nowadays. Before, here, I don't know. Seems like a bit of accountability. But then, I don't know. Probably not. Probably not. Start talking about bribes. He's like, I didn't take a bribe. As if it was a thing. And Eli's children did that. So the priest before this. And then the Israelites were doing it. So, who am I to really say that either, They're all wiling out. Not for God. And do not turn aside, for then you would go after empty things which cannot profit or deliver. Right. For they are nothing. I mean, I guess sometimes it could work out, but like if you're not following God and you find a thing to do that somehow like supports you for the time being, I guess. Right? And even if you turned away from God, God wouldn't want anything bad to happen to you. For the Lord will not forsake his people for his great name's sake, because it has pleased the Lord to make his people. Moreover, as for me, far be it from me that I should sin against the Lord in ceasing to pray for you. But I will teach you the good and the right way. Only fear the Lord, and serve him in truth with all your heart, for consider what great things he has done for you. But if you still do wickedly, you shall be swept away, both you and your king. Oh no. It seems like this is my next title. Saul's unlawful sacrifice. Are they going to try and get rid of him? Okay. We're going to leave that for later. Saul reigned 1 year. And when he had reigned 2 years over Israel, Saul chose for himself 3,000 men of Israel. 2,000 were with Saul in Michmash, and in the mountains of Bethel. And 1,000 were in Jonathan with Gibeah of Benjamin. The rest of the people he sent away, every man to his tent. Those who know this is similar. And Jonathan attacked the garrison of the Philistines that was in Gibeah, and the Philistines heard of it. Then Saul blew the trumpet throughout all the land, saying, Let the Hebrews hear. Now all Israel heard it, and said that Saul had attacked a garrison of the Philistines, and that Israel had also become an abomination to the Philistines. And the people were called together to Saul at Gilgal. Then the Philistines gathered together to fight with Israel 30,000 chariots, 6,000 horsemen, and people as the sand which is on the seashore in multitude. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. And they came up and encamped at Michmash, to the east of Beth-aven. When the men of Israel saw that they were in danger, for the people were distressed, I'm sure they were stressing, they said, oh, no, what we gonna do now? Which is the wrong thing. They should have been like, God, we're gonna have some fighting to do. You're gonna need some of that thunder. Right, bring some of that thunder that they just used. When the people hid in caves, in thickets, in rocks, in holes, and in pits. So we're going to blend into the landscape. And some of the Hebrews crossed over the Jordan to the land of Gad and Gilead. As for Saul, he was still in Gilgal, and the people followed him trembling. That's why they wanted a king. Imagine if they didn't have a king right now. I don't know. I mean, they wouldn't have attacked the Philistines, but who's to say that either? Maybe they would have attacked the Philistines by accident, or they would have stumbled upon their land. They would have been looking for some water. They're going to be chopping down a tree or something that's on their land, and the Philistines would come over. I don't know. I'm a great man for alternate history, but that's not why we're here. They were trembling behind Saul, which is funny, because they're all like, if they ever showed up, Saul is out, dead, first day. That's how much respect I have for that man. None. He said, "You're here for a scapegoat." That's about it. Where was I? Then he waited 7 days according to the time set by Samuel. That was for like a cleansing or something. Or for touching dead bodies. But Samuel did not come to Gilgal, and the people were scattered from him. So they said it didn't show up. Oh no. So Saul said, "Bring a burnt offering and peace offering here to me." And he offered the burnt offering. Now it happened as soon as he had finished presenting the burnt offering that Samuel came. Sorry, up still. Thank you. So Samuel said, So now it happened, as soon as he had finished presenting the burnt offering, that Samuel came, and Saul went out to meet him, that he might greet him. And Saul's like, "What did you do? What did you do? What did you do?" Do you think Saul knew anything that had happened in the Old Testament? I don't know. Saul should have also been asking Samuel before he'd done this. Who did he ask for the offering? What is going on right now, Saul? And Samuel said, "What have you done?" Saul said, "When I saw that the people were scattered from me, and that you did not come within the days appointed, and that the Philistines gathered together in Mishmash." This is worse than the Israelites building a calf because Moses was on the mountain for a month, and they forgot about him. The king just ignored all the rules. This king has no idea what he's doing. Oh. Huh. Well, let's see what happens. Then I said, "The Philistines will not come down on me at Gilgal, and I have not made supplication to the Lord. Therefore I felt compelled and offered a burnt offering." He said, "Bro, you don't understand what's going on, do you?" Not quite. Then I said, "The Philistines will not come down on me at Gilgal. I have not made a supplication to the Lord. Therefore I felt compelled and offered a burnt offering." What the heck? What the heck, dude? And Samuel said to Saul, "You have done foolishly. You have not kept the commandment of the Lord your God, which he commanded you. For now the Lord would have established your kingdom over Israel forever." Fucked up, dude. "But now your kingdom shall not continue." Oh no. "The Lord has sought for himself a man after his own heart, and the Lord has commanded him to be a commander over his people, because you have not kept what the Lord commanded you." Then Samuel arose and went up from Gilgal and Gibeah to Benjamin. And Samuel numbered the people present with him, about 600 men. So he's trying to build a little rebel army after Samuel tells him he's kicked out. Saul, Jonathan, his son, and the people present with them remained in Gibeah of Benjamin. But the Philistines encamped in Mishmash. I don't know if that's right. Micmac. Mikamash. Then raiders came out to the camp of the Philistines in 3 companies. One company turned onto the road to Orpha, to the land of Shual. Another company turned to the road of Beth Horon, and another company turned onto the road to the border that overlooks the valley of Zebulun toward the wilderness. Now there was no blacksmith to be found throughout all the land of Israel. You know, if we got attacked today, we'd probably say the same thing. Do you know a blacksmith? No? Right, I didn't think so. Do you know how to mine metal and grind it up and then superheat it and then take out all the impurities and then cast that and then heat it and work with it with a hammer? Are you a blacksmith, bro? you know? You know they use to add chemicals to it, like borax, stuff like that. That's for like fusing metal, but stuff like that. Arsenic they used to add to it, right? It would bind to the other compounds that were in the metal, like the steel, right? At the end of the day, the iron, stuff like that, tin. And it would take out the impurities, and you'd be left with all the slag, right? And then you'd have your pure metal at the bottom. It's a really cool process, and nobody knows, right? And like, bro, if somebody attacks today, that's going to be the exact statement of like, you wanted a king over you. You wanted a king over you. When you go to the next presidential election, remember, read the Old Testament, brothers. You wanted this king over you. And not to sound like a like a good person, but like the Second Amendment gives us the right, at the end of the day, to go take it back, right, and go build our own government. So what are we talking about here, brothers? Come on. Now there was no blacksmith to be found throughout all the land of Israel, for the Philistines said, lest the Hebrews make swords or spears. But all the Israelites would go down to the Philistines to sharpen each man's plowshare, his mattock, his axe, and his sickle. Now this is the militia. Hey, we rolling deep, dude. We got our axes. This is the start of like guerrilla warfare, yo. And to set the points of the goads. And so it came about on the day of battle that there was neither sword nor spear found in the hand of any of the people who were with Saul and Jonathan, but they were found with Saul and Jonathan his son. And the garrison of the Philistines went out to the pass of Mishmash. So the king messed up. You know? And maybe we're going to see what happens in the next episode. Maybe ask people, right? If you don't know. If I was king, and I knew I had a priest who did all the sacrifices, I don't think I'd be calling for my own sacrifices, right? Until you at least learned. And maybe you'd think that 2 years is enough to learn, but like, apparently not. So, okay, I gotta get to work. I apologize. Yeah, at the end of the day, right? Ugh. You wanted a king. You didn't want to rule over yourselves. You didn't want, right? At the end of the day, the system that God and Moses have come up with Jethro, right? His stepfather. You didn't want it. You literally rejected it. It's your fault. Myself included, right? Because I'm part of it. But, like, it would have been easier to go with, like, the 5, 10, 50, 500 stuff, right? Until you get up to nothing at that point, right? Because then you wouldn't need a king. It would all be handled at local levels, right? And then you could form committees and do, like, a whole thing. I don't know. I have no idea, right? It's it has to be like an ever-changing system, right? Because the world is always changing. It's always different. Blah, 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 blah. I know. It's a lot. Life is a lot, right? Ah, so find some peace, right? Find some peace wherever you can find it. Because it's not always going to be this peaceful, you know? The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen. Have a good day. Thank you, God, for giving us an opportunity to learn and grow as human beings every single day. You stay safe out there and stay strapped.